Welcome to our channel. It's so lovely to have you here with us today.
Cameroon Airlines, Camair, was more than transportation. It was emotion, pride, identity. The green star on its tail was meant to symbolize a rising African nation. But as the airline soared across continents, something darker brewed inside its offices, hangars, and boardrooms, a slow corruption that would take decades to expose. This is not just the story of a collapsed airline. It is the story of the political system that fed on it. A system that transformed Camair from a symbol of hope into one of the greatest financial wounds in Cameroon's modern history. When Camair was created in 1971, Cameroon had little aviation expertise. This was normal for a young state, but the politicization of technical roles was not. Internal documents from the 1980s show that board members were selected based on regional balance. Managers were appointed by presidential decrees. Technical departments were forced to hire recommended individuals regardless of qualifications. Some pilots described their supervisors as people who had never touched an airplane cockpit. A retired senior mechanic recounts, "We had aircraft grounded for lack of small parts, while the administration bought new luxury vehicles for managers." The spare parts chaos began early. In the 1980s, a scandal documented by aviation consultant Ngota N. Eyebi found that parts were bought without verification. Inventory officers inflated quantities, and suppliers were handpicked by ministers. Camair sometimes paid triple the normal cost for Boeing components. Evidence suggests that even at this early stage, Camair was quietly becoming a cash cow. The airline's collapse did not begin in the 2000s. It began in the 1970s, with the wrong people in the cockpit of management. The real destruction began between 1988 and 2004, the era Camair insiders call the shadow years. This was when procurement became the beating heart of corruption. Auditors discovered Camair used a strange method of procurement, a three-layer contracting system. There was the real manufacturer, an intermediary European partner, and then an intermediary African partner with political ties. Camair paid the African partner, who paid the European partner, who sometimes paid the original manufacturer. Every layer added its own commission. In some cases, the manufacturer never received payment. The parts never arrived, but Camair's money was already gone. Then there were the fake maintenance deals, the phantom repairs. Several aircraft were listed as being under repair, awaiting maintenance, or in external workshops, but no physical work was ever done. One Boeing 737 reportedly stayed on the books as under maintenance for 11 months, while being used as a parts donor behind the scenes. In the 1990s, a high-profile Boeing lease was signed under circumstances described by journalists as opaque. Red flags included no competitive bidding, a contract signed outside the board, an aircraft delivered with known mechanical issues, and lease payments higher than market value. A former executive said, "We paid for a nearly new car and received a used taxi." By 2005, estimates showed that between overpriced deals, phantom invoices, fake maintenance, and supplier fraud, Camair had lost over 90 billion CFA, roughly the national budget for several ministries at the time. What shocked experts was not that money disappeared, but how openly it vanished. Airlines survive on numbers. Camair survived on politics. Despite near-empty cabins, certain destinations were kept alive because a handful of elites used them. Examples mentioned in internal reports included Paris, Jeddah, and specific Central African regional flights. Route profitability often had no impact on decision-making. One senior planner admitted, "If a minister's child studied in a town, we had to create a route." Pressure also came from foreign competitors. Some foreign airlines allegedly saw Camair as an annoyance on certain routes. Whenever Camair planned expansion, mysterious obstacles appeared. Sudden grounding orders, refusal to clear flight plans, technical issues found during inspections, and last-minute cancellations. These patterns consistently benefited competitors. Then there was the internal sabotage theory. Some Camair managers were suspected of benefiting from private deals with foreign airlines. The evidence? Patterns like opening routes only to abandon them months later, blocking profitable route proposals, and underpricing the competition without strategy. Meanwhile, Camair lost 2 to 3 billion CFA per month in its final years. Empty routes were not accidents. They were symptoms of internal capture. If the top drained billions, the bottom drained millions. Camair developed internal mafias in multiple departments. A 2003 audit uncovered a payroll mafia of ghost workers, security guards who had never shown up, relatives of managers who lived abroad, and technicians who were on mission for years. One payroll line included 3 names sharing the same ID number. The ticketing mafia printed legitimate-looking fake tickets and sold them at discounts, costing the airline over 1 billion CFA between 2001 and 2005. There was also the jet fuel cartel. Ground crews in Douala and Yaoundé skimmed fuel during refueling. It would be under-delivered to aircraft, siphoned off, and resold illegally. The fuel mafia grew so bold that pilots often refueled abroad just to avoid the theft. Finally, a spare parts mafia operated within the warehouses. One manager reported entire engine parts, aircraft tires, hydraulic pumps, and avionics components going missing, only to end up on the black market. It was an airline being eaten alive from the inside and outside. Around 2004, brave insiders began leaking classified documents to newspapers, but it was too late to save the airline. Leaders responded by launching investigations that never concluded, transferring whistleblowers, suspending outspoken engineers, and arresting low-level staff while preserving top officials. One whistleblower said, "I lost my job for trying to save the company." The leaks confirmed what citizens had long suspected. Camair was not failing, it was being drained. The airline died long before its burial. By 2008, Camair had only 1 reliably functioning aircraft. Staff salaries were delayed for months. Debt surpassed 110 billion CFA. Boeing threatened repossession, insurance providers raised red flags, and passengers abandoned the airline completely. The collapse was inevitable, but the most haunting twist is what came next. When Camair Co was created in 2011, several ex-Camair managers, advisors, and administrative officers returned. The ghosts of the old airline simply changed office buildings. Camair's collapse is not just a story of corruption. It is a cautionary tale about what happens when politics devours professionalism, when secrecy replaces accountability, and when a national treasure becomes a feeding trough. In the next part, we will ask the difficult question: did any state corporation survive the era of privatization? And later, we confront the darkest chapter in Cameroon's transport history, the CamRail scandals and the Saga tragedy. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it.